and El Paso. And Bill, this is Bill Maher.
Recorder's on, by the way.
Okay, we can kill school children.
We're live, Bob.
I think I'm leaving.
Never mind.
I think I'm leaving that in. It's just because that's just way too funny. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome everyone to episode 300 of Just Joshing. I am your host, Joshua Pantellaresco. I write stuff and podcasts too. Today is going to be a very special day. This is a live show. As you can hear, there's an audience in here. I'm expecting to be heckled. We've already talked about killing children. This is only a minute into the podcast.
Maybe I should finish this story anyway.
Yeah.
Maher says, okay, we didn't do anything when we killed school children. We didn't do anything when we shot people up at churches or mosques or synagogues. You shoot people at Walmart? Hey, we're gonna do something.
That's right, folks. We're never going to do anything at Walmart. So, ever. And please don't sue me. But anyways, that's another thing altogether. Anyways, this is a special show. I only have two. This is going to be two guests, and then I'm going to do a little bit of an extra thing at the end because this is my 300th episode, but this is also probably a bittersweet one. By the time this episode airs, I will probably be very, very close, or not on my way out of Alberta into British Columbia. This is a transitory time for me. It's a decision I made based on the fact that I have seen nothing but incredible success with this podcast. I'm doing 300 episodes. It's in a video game. I have sponsorships. I've done things with this thing I've never thought. I even forget, in fact, it's an award-winning podcast too. I've done some incredible things with this, and I've been blessed to meet some amazing people on this journey. But this year was a very interesting year personally for me because personally, my sister moved out of here to Mississauga, which is great. I mean, I can't stand Toronto, but I understand why she did it, and I love her and I'm proud of her. But also, other close friends have moved away, and other really close friendships have evolved, leaving me in this really interesting position of being an island unto myself and seeing the potential success of where things are going. And it occurred to me, I can be who I want to be. I can go wherever I want to go. And where do I want to go? And I've grown an awful lot, I think, in the last 2 years. So for me, this was a decision that I felt was the right decision, at least for the short term. That doesn't mean I won't ever come back to Calgary again. I do like a lot of people here. And I've been very, very blessed to meet a ton of them, including some people sitting in this room. But it's also, life has changed, and I have 8 rules to success. The 8th rule is stay uncomfortable. And my biggest fear right now, as far as me being in Calgary, is that I am too comfortable here. I hit a point where I have evolved. My day job doesn't bother me at all. I actually call it a sparkle muffin, which kind of tells you how seriously I take my job. And and again, that's comfort. And comfort is, to a degree, comfort is good. You have to be at a point where it's manageable. But if you're not pushing yourself on some level, you have to ask yourself why you're here. And I've asked myself that question, and I don't have a good reason to be here anymore. So I have to go challenge myself and kind of recreate myself as a bit of a blank slate, at least for the short term. But also because I've evolved quite a bit, and I'm kind of wondering where can I go. There's 2 things I've always feared regret. There are things I didn't do. And again, because of the nature of my day job, I see a lot of could have beens. I'd rather be what I could be. And I feel like I could do a lot more, and I can give a lot more. And I'm not sure I can do it here. And that's at least for now. So that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. But for all that said, this is the sad part of the show. I do want to say thank you very much to the city of Calgary. Thank you very much to a lot of the people that touch, including some of the people in this room. You've all made me better, every single one of you, and I am eternally grateful for it. So that is the sad part of this. Let's get to the happy part. I'm looking forward to the new challenges, and before it's over, you're going to see some of the things I have been up to and where I'm going from here. But first, we're going to do what I normally do, which is I talk to guests. I talk to great people. So I'm going to talk about my first guest because I've interviewed him before. Calvin Jim was one of my actually bigger surprises last year because he was just this really, really quiet guy that I've known at IFLA off and on. And so but he's also does some interesting fiction. So I thought, let's interview him. I'd love to actually just get to know him a little bit better. And the most pleasant surprise, I think, he was a pleasant surprise because it was kind of like, you listen to it, the first 20 minutes is it's a good interview, but I don't feel it's a great interview in the first 20 minutes. But the moment we started asking about culture, he lit up. I could literally see the ice break, and what came out of it was a very amazing man. I was really, really pleasantly surprised by this conversation. So I wanted to actually do, even though this will be a shorter one today, I wanted to bring him back at some point. So Calvin.
Okay. Well, thank you. There is one thing you got to remember. You're an award-winning podcast, but you've also been nominated again.
I have been, yes.
So I mean, don't forget that.
I haven't. It's just I'm in a different place with the Aurora this year. Like, I don't get me wrong. I would love to win it again, but I've already won it, and it's definitely been beneficial to me. Part of me hopes that if I don't win it again, it's given to someone that can use it. Like I've been very fortunate in that I've been very smart to take advantage of the opportunities I've been given. The Aurora was probably one of the coolest surprises last year. It really was, and it led to some really cool doors. Like Spider Robinson would not have happened if it wasn't for the Aurora, and that's still one of my favorite conversations ever. But for me this year, it's like there's a part of me that's like, I've done it. Right, and now, I don't want to denigrate the award. It's not about that. It's just for me, I'm looking at. There are other hills I want to climb. If that makes sense.
Yep. Right.
So I'm excited. And heck, in fact, when I start doing the Aurora series, I've interviewed all my competitors for the award. It's like, because honestly, to me, it's one of those things where I would be really happy if somebody else won, and I hope they get out of it what I did. I really would. It's for me this year. I've done it, and even if I never do it again, I've done it once, and it's awesome. It's literally literally when I wake up and I work on my office, it's literally on my right side. I have an Aurora, and every once in a while I wake up, it's like I have an Aurora. Damn. Yeah. But yeah.
So congratulations on the nomination again.
Oh, thank you.
It's a second year in a row.
Yeah. No, I no. It's honestly, it's an honor. It really is. It really is. But thank you. I'm actually sad you didn't win. You had a really good story last year.
Yes, I know, but the winner really deserved it.
No. Yours and the young adult was the hardest two to choose from because they were all so very good, and it's like there's no wrong answer here. Oh shit!
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying you deserve to win. So what have you been up to, man?
Well, writing wise,
yeah.
I've put out a bunch of stuff because I was nominated for the Aurora last year. I've stepped up my game and I've started to send more out. One of the things I've got just launched this weekend was Enigma Front. Okay, I have a story in that one. It's also based in Japanese myth, so set in a modern day, and that story was just released yesterday.
That's awesome.
I submitted some stuff to. I got asked to submit to Green Ronin Publications, which is a role-playing game company down in the United States. I submitted a story based in their Blue Rose world, so it's the only short story that will ever be published by me, at least up to this point, that is not set in an Asian setting or have Asian characters.
How was that for you? Was it like an uncomfortable thing, or was it like a break kind of deal?
It felt like a little bit of a break, but at the same time, it was a challenge unto itself, because although I was familiar with Blue Rose as a role-playing game, I wasn't familiar with all the little nitty-gritty things about it, all the rules, their world, their culture, and I ended up having to add to their culture by adding a couple of extra things. I wrote about characters that were not central to the Blue Rose world, but ones which were a little bit on the other side of their world. And the story got accepted. It'll be in Nisaba Journal in the upcoming months. They said the editor said, beautiful story, send it straight to editing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Congrats, man.
It was a tough one to write because I must have wrote it about 3 times. I sent in my proposal to them in December. It got accepted in January. The proposal was to write about this brash soldier who wanted to become a Blue Rose Knight, and he had to rescue somebody who was this little waif of a girl. And the more I wrote it, the more I couldn't get into this guy's head. So I eventually switched it around and realized I'm not writing his story. I'm writing that girl's story. And I ended up writing hers. And it turned out great. I really liked it. And I think if you pick up the magazine, you'll like it as well.
So, just out of curiosity, are you going to write about that girl protagonist again?
I don't know yet. There's Green Ronin has another opportunity which they mentioned. N.K. Jemison's Broken Earth trilogy is being turned into a role-playing game.
Nice.
And they are searching for writers and developers. I think mostly just writers. And they said in particular they want people who are people of color, marginalized communities, those people to definitely consider coming in and writing for this role-playing game. They're not excluding anybody. They said everybody submit, but there's
a preference there.
Yeah. So because I've just sold a story to Green Ronin, I'm kind of hemming and hawing about whether or not I should, because there's other projects I have in mind.
What do you want to do?
Right now, I am trying to consider which long form project that I want to take on. I've got two of them in the works. But before I tell you that, there's the third story that I sent out to Laxa Media, which I'm really hoping sells.
Yes.
Okay, and hopefully will be in their next anthology. I can't tell you much more about it now.
I totally understand. It's a very closed invitation kind of deal too. So, it's an honor to be invited, if nothing else, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I love the people at Laxa. They were the ones that took Rose's arm, and it got to where it was, primarily because of the people who believed in that story.
Absolutely.
Lucas, Susan, the people there at Laxa Media are fantastic.
They are cool. Like, I've interviewed Lucas. He's a really, really incredible dude.
Fantastic.
No, he's an incredible dude. He's really incredible. I was really very good-hearted dude. Like, he's one of the nicest guys I think I've ever interviewed, actually. So.
Yeah. So there's all of that has gone out. I'm hoping to make my third sale, and for me this has been one heck of a year. There's one last thing that I submitted to. I got an outside chance of getting it. There's a small little project. They're talking about Chinatown here in Calgary, how it's evolved, and they want to get a perspective from writers who are young to oldish. And since I've lived in Calgary for 30 out of the last 40 years, I've seen Chinatown change and morph. I saw it in the late 1970s, and I see it today and how it's changed.
It's always interesting because I remember, like, when I was growing up in London, Ontario, I lived like we would always go downtown on the weekends, and I would literally see the whole place change overnight. So places that I would become familiar and comfortable with, they're gone. It's also amazing to see what has survived, right? Mm-hmm. So for me, the thing that I always get a kick out of is the one place that has always survived for me. There's a comic shop there called LA Mood. Mm-hmm. It has been there for 30 years. It has moved down the street a couple blocks, a couple times, but it's still there. And whereas everything else, banks have come and gone, like everything else has like just mysteriously vanished. Yeah. The other place, and the one place that hasn't moved, is City Lights Bookstore, which is like this coolest little bookstore in there. It's creaky. So downtown London's actually built on quicksand. Yeah. Most people don't actually know that, and so it's always under construction because you have to actually literally clean the quicksand out of there. So it's just like, but what here that's still here that surprises you?
Silver Inn, the Silver Inn surprises me.
Yeah.
The Golden Inn surprises me. I don't know how those things have actually survived. The Golden Inn was my father's favorite restaurant when he was still alive. We used to go there a couple of times a month, either there or no, it's always the Golden Inn. The Silver Dragon has been there for just as long as the Golden Inn.
Yeah.
But the Golden Inn surprises me because it is a tiny little restaurant just off of Center Street. You have to walk downstairs in order to get into it. And actually, I observed last night when I was walking by that they had expanded the area down there. It's no longer just a tiny little couple of steps down. They've now expanded that area down, but you still have to walk downstairs to get into the Golden Inn. It's almost as if the building was built and in such a way that it's sunk into the earth.
It's now the foundation of that building now.
Yeah,
It's like
pretty well.
the Golden Inn, so it'll never leave until the building gets torn down anyways.
Yeah, probably. But if it does, there's an entire block that it's attached to that'll have to go.
Yeah, fair enough.
And there's all sorts of little tiny hole-in-the-wall restaurants in that area, most of which I have not tried. But the Golden Inn was my dad's favorite, and it is still there. One of the biggest things I think has changed in Chinatown. As I used to live in Toronto when I was a kid, we used to go down to Chinatown in Dundas, and a lot of the Chinese groceries were there, so you could walk by and the scents and odors that you get are unlike anywhere else that you could go to buy groceries. You smell all the produce, all the protein. The ducks are hanging in barbecues. When we came to Calgary, there was a little tiny Chinese grocery very close, kitty corner to where the Golden Inn is, and I don't even remember when that closed down, but Chinatown has sort of been sanitized.
Yes.
In such a way that everything is sort of indoors. You don't have the familiar sense that that I got as a child. And I wasn't thinking about this until this past year, but I kind of missed that.
Yeah, it feels we've homogenized a lot of things. And that's actually the way I was. Like, we've homogenized it to fit a certain mold and model, including, unfortunately, Chinatown here. If you ever go, like, I've been to Chinese markets in other cities. Some of them are still outside. You can go and you can smell all the herbal stuff. I used to go into Chinese markets because my dad's a naturopath herbalist. So I go in all these cool little places, get all these wondrous little stuff. And it's just like, but you can only go in those places. No one else. Yeah, and they were so unique. And now you look at TNT.
Yeah, I know. TNT is its own thing.
Yeah, no, it totally is. But I mean, but it used. I remember just when I came to Calgary, it still felt more like a Chinese store when I came. Now it's almost like a grocery chain that kind of looks like something it once was. Yeah. It's completely different now.
Yeah. So what I'm working on now is I've been hemming and hawing on between two things. Either both of them based on my Japanese heritage. The first one is Japanese ghost stories. Okay. There was this YouTube video that came on just about a month ago, talking about a real estate agent in Japan who sells what's called stigmatized properties. Now, stigmatized properties are everywhere in the world, but in Japan they're a particular problem because there are lots of suicides. A lot of people commit suicide in apartments, and a lot of people die in their apartments, and nobody discovers them for several days. And of course, there's also murders in these places. So this guy, when he finds out that there's a stigmatized property of this nature, he usually gets called in very early on. The police have just removed the bodies, and he goes in and helps clean the whole thing up. And I thought, wow, that cannot be an easy job. And of course, the YouTube video has and the interviewer coming into one of these places, and she's wearing a mask. She says, this place smells absolutely horrible. So the body was just removed. Okay, and he points to the blood stains on the floor and the darkened areas, and it's just, oh my gosh! And this guy has to clean this up, and then he flips it, and I thought, what about the ghosts? There's got to be thousands of ghosts that haunt these places, and those are the stories that I would like to try to explore.
Nice.
And I thought, oh, okay, I can't make this into just one short story, and I'm not going to make it into a novel. It just does not sound like that. But I was thinking of putting out little tiny novellas, which each one looking at one or two of these things. I'll bring in a surrogate on stage so that they can do almost kind of like an X-Files kind of story. So they go and investigate something. I don't know if that other person will be a skeptic or not, but it's through her that we'll learn about all these Japanese ghosts.
That sounds really cool.
And the other one is Japanese steampunk, taken sort of. I haven't completely thought it all out, but I wanted to do it at a point in time where the Japanese were just starting to integrate with the West, and that would be in the late 1800s when the Meiji Emperor was just starting to westernize Japan. Now that would be kind of interesting as well.
Yeah, that would be very cool.
And then yokai.
Yeah.
So those are the kinds of things I'm working on right now, and I'm really, really hoping to get one or both of these things out in the next year or so.
I wish you the best luck.
Yeah.
The ghost one in particular, I like it. A book you should check out. Look up a book called Speakeasy by Kat Valent. She kind of does like the novella take, but she actually integrates the stories together in a very interesting way. What goes on in the building, you might like that format might work for you.
All right,
look it up. All right. I would love to chat with you more, but we are on a bit of a time crunch. So before I go, plug whatever's out recently, and how can people find you?
Okay, I have a website called calvindjimauthor.com. It has a blog. I haven't put up my most recent blog post. It'll be going up talking about the WWC. I am in the latest Enigma front, and I have I edited an anthology a long time ago, which was also nominated for an Aurora Award called Shanghai Steam, which is Chinese steampunk. That's for sale at the Shared Authors booth here at the WWC. But you can also find it online at Edge.
Very cool. Well, thanks, Calvin.
Okay.
Thanks for doing this.
Thank you very much, Josh.
Yes.
Good luck.
Thank you. Yeah, give him a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. So, someone I've interviewed before, someone I've never interviewed before. So this is Jessica Renwick. I met her literally, I think, 3 weeks ago? Something like that? Yeah. I go to Chapters Indigo. Talina Winters is somebody I greatly respect. And she highly touted her. And I was like, I go, all right, I'll meet her. And Jessica is a very, 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 very pleasant person to meet. I have her book. I have not read it yet. I'm sorry. Tears in my eyes. Please don't beat me. But it's just one of those things that, like, I was really impressed with her attitude and just the way she went about and did things. I would love to have a conversation with her, and I thought, well, let's do something new, something I've never actually met in terms of the interview stage. So, Jessica, hi, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Yeah, how you doing today?
I'm good.
You're good.
Exhausted.
And
we're only halfway through.
So, what did you do? What have you done so far?
So many panels and sessions, and I came first thing yesterday, and I've been working at the Shared Author table, so I was there early this morning and working there yesterday, and then taking in as much stuff as I can. So.
Yeah, so what's been your favorite thing so far?
I don't know, they've all been awesome. Yeah. Definitely took in some about common mistakes in your manuscripts and stuff like that have been very informative. So.
Yeah, so who did that one?
Oh, I can't remember. There's a panel of 4 people. Editors, yeah.
Editors, all of the editors.
Yes.
Okay, so all the editors did the manuscript mistakes.
Yes.
So, is this your first one, Words Collide?
This is my second.
This is your second?
Yeah, but my first one as an author.
Yeah. So last time you were a reader. So what's the difference?
I have a book for sale here.
Yes.
And last time I was definitely, I was in the process of getting my first book published, but I was very, very new and oh my goodness.
For me, I remember for me the first year I was here, I had the audacity to just run a merchant's table, right? I had one book, and I went, yeah. Well, no, it was crazy, but the thing was, I know Randy went out of his way to make sure that like I had a really good experience and I got to meet people the first time. Has anyone actually stepped out and helped you meet people here so far?
Oh, yeah, everyone at the shared author table has been awesome. And then, of course, Talina, she's my editor, so she's the one who suggested I come here and meet you. And Susie Vidori has been awesome. I went for coffee with her a few weeks ago, actually.
Susie is awesome.
Yeah.
She makes me. Susie's like she's the only person I almost 100% believe, no matter what her plan is, because I just know it's like I can see it. It's like you're gonna do it.
Yeah,
I just totally see it with her. It's like you got this, and it's like, oh my god, I cannot help but laugh.
Yeah, and she's so kind and helpful.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, she took time out of her day. I was down in Calgary for a school visit, and she took time out of her day the day I was down here to go out for coffee with me, and we had never met in person before, just online. So it was, and she was very helpful. Yeah.
No, Susie's very cool.
Yeah.
I think we're all gonna end up working for her someday, but
I would be fine with that.
No, I actually, I know. Actually, there are, but like. Susie, if you're listening to this, you're awesome. You really are. But yes, again. But so your first book, how's it been doing?
It's been doing really well.
Yeah.
Like, much better than I even thought it would be doing. So.
What were your expectations?
So since I self-published, I was like, I'll just get it out to a few people, and then I started following more people on how to market and started getting it out. Entered it in some awards. It's won some awards.
Congratulations on awards.
It won the Children's Literary Classics Seal of Approval, so it's going on for their awards in November. And then it won the Book Excellence Award for Children's Fiction, and then it's up for a couple more this fall, so we'll see.
Good luck. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you do like addition, like the award version, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. All the different. So do they like come like I know like Reader's Choice Awards come with like this like little golden badge and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So did any of those come with that?
Yeah, I have 2 seals on my book right now, so
nice.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's very cool. Congrats.
Yeah, and that has been really good. Like, I do school visits and the book signings, and that seems to give the book a lot of credibility with teachers, especially, are more interested in looking at it. And yeah, so I've had a few good class visits. I did 6 school visits last year, which were awesome. And I've had a couple teachers end up buying class sets. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, it was really good.
So what you talk about, like when you do your speech, what's your speech usually about with school?
So I'm an educational assistant, so I know a bit about what the kids have to do in class with their writing. So I'll often talk about how their writing process, what their teachers are asking them to do, it's legitimate. It matches what authors have to do, like with the revision, and they do like peer edits. So comparing that to our editors and showing them that, yeah, your teachers ask you to do this for a reason.
Yeah, that's kind of, so like, do you like when you speak? Do you speak about the writing process, or do you speak about anything about your journey to be a writer with them?
Yes, and I take questions. There's always awesome questions from kids. So
did they ask you?
Oh, a lot of them ask me how much money I make. It's like, well, not enough that I'm full time yet. So
you should do the Austin Powers $1 million every time.
That would be a mean trick. They'd probably believe me. So, and they ask me a lot about characters too, which is awesome. They love the dog. There's a dog in my book, and he's just like a side character, but he's funny and goofy, and they love him. And you ask them, who's your favorite character? Grim, the dog. I'm like, okay.
So why is it Grim the dog for the audience and me who hasn't read the book yet? So why is the dog?
He is a mastiff, so he's this big, huge, drooly dog, and their aunt got him for them to kind of watch over the kids. And he tends to get into trouble sometimes, and when Fable's magic goes off, she'll accidentally turn him colors or make him float or do goofy things, and he doesn't care. He just loves her so much.
He just goes with the flow.
Yeah.
It's like I got polka dots today. Cool. Let's just let's play fetch.
Yeah. Yeah. Basically. Yeah. This is my favorite day. Yeah.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I envy your dogs. That's a really good attitude to have with life.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, no. So you're obviously going to continue with your children's series. Are you going to write something more adult, or are you comfortable like in the genre you're in, or the
I
age group?
love the genre I'm in, but I do have some ideas for adult books, but I'm not quite there yet. The Starfall books, like the Book of Chaos is my first one that's out right now, and the second book's coming out in September, The Guitar of Mayhem.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love that title. That is awesome.
So I'm writing the third book in that one right now, and that's The Bow of Anarchy.
I think you're a heavy metal fan, but just out of curiosity.
A little, yeah.
Because they almost sound like album seriously, I could see bands like they're like names like that. So especially the last one, The Bow of Anarchy. I totally could see a metal band just like jamming with that, and the Guitar of Mayhem. That's like that. Seriously, you gotta make like a toy of that. It's seriously. No, you really should.
The guitar is really cool looking too.
No,
vines all over it.
Well, one of the things that authors don't always think about is merchandise, right?
Yeah.
So, and they really should. One of the things, like for example, for my book coming out, and we'll talk about that when I get to my section of it. I actually have a T-shirt with a unicorn firing out the word "sparkle, sparkle." It's just because it's just one of those things. Well, one, it's me making fun of my day job, and I cannot help but do that. But the other part of it too, it's smart merchandise. I have a unicorn in my story, ergo, might as well just tie everything together. Yeah. You have a guitar, even if it doesn't like. It'd be cool if it could play something, but I mean that's a little ambitious. But if you even had just like a little thing like that, you get a cool way to hook kids in to come into your store.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah, just something to think about. But well, it's just like I said, people it's just something that really it stuns me. Just the merchandising area is just something a lot of authors lack at. So
yeah, well, I think it's a bit intimidating.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Well, you gotta put random crazy junk together. But hey, I look at it, if people buy cigarettes, they'll buy anything. That's how I kind of look at it.
That is true.
Yeah. So it's just like it's one of those things. I just like, well, whatever. If worst case to worst, I strike out. Well, whatever. That's cool. But anyway, so you're gonna do. So for you, why do you enjoy that age group in particular?
Well, for me, I actually really liked being that age.
Yeah.
And according to my significant other, I am still that age mentally. So
that's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
No, I mean, as I get older, I value that part of me that still goofs the heck off a lot more, because it's just like you don't like when you're a kid, you always won't wish you were an adult, and when you get to be an adult, you realize I had it made as a kid.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
Yeah.
And I think for me at that age, I don't know about you, but books were like so magical and enchanting at that age. And I remember all the books I loved at that age, and I'll even reread some of them now.
What do you read? No, I'm curious.
So,
I got Dr. Seuss books here, so don't feel bad. Do not feel bad.
The first thing I went back and revisited when I decided to write a kid's book was the Goosebumps series. I bought a whole bunch of Goosebumps books, and I was reading them, and it was like all the memories of being a kid coming back. And I'm like, I remember all these books. And I took R.L. Stein's master class on
really
writing
good.
For middle grade and YA, because he did the Fear Street and the Goosebumps. So that was actually really interesting, because it kind of taught you the different ways to write scary for middle grade or YA. So,
very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. For me, my childhood was Gordon Corman. I loved Bruno and Boots. I loved Bruno and Boots. So McDonald Hall. The principal was the fish. It was just I really just dug that whole universe. Yeah. It was Harry Potter without magic, but it was still fantastic. So
I didn't read those ones, but now I have to.
Yeah. No, Gordon Corman, he wrote his first book at 12. It actually was really. Oh yeah, it was an amazing little series, and it was like, I remember it because when I was a kid, like, I would still get like readings from teachers. They would read books. They would choose certain books. So for me, it was I read it by myself, Eric Wilson, but they hooked me on Gordon Corman because I would just read some of the most absurd stuff ever. I still remember the Zucchini Warriors. That's one of the titles of the books. It's like this is so audacious. It's good. It's just great stuff. Like, there's some really cool stories at that age level.
Oh yeah, you can write like the funnest stories, stuff that you could never get away with older.
I actually don't know if it's true. You just have to make it more sophisticated, a little bit more sophisticated. I find with adults, I've learned this. Every adult wants to play. Every adult wants to play. The trick is you got to figure out where the hook is for them. Yeah. Kids are much easier to hook into playing games. Yeah. Adults are like, I'm too mature for this crap, and that's not usually the case at all. You're not mature enough. You just haven't found the hook. One story, like my very first signing was way back in 2002, and I was terrible. I did everything wrong. Do not do how my marketing, how I did it, which was none. Don't do that. But I did learn a very valuable lesson that day. So because the store was located like in this really, really crappy part. Like you couldn't, like you wouldn't. There was no signs pointing to it. There's nothing like that. So what I did was I printed out these giant arrows and I pasted them on the street. It's in Kensington and Calgary. People followed those.
Really?
So, oh yeah, no, they did. It was hilarious. They would walk, get to the store. Like, what the hell is this? right. It worked. It taught me a very valuable marketing lesson. People, if you make it interactive in a way that is engaging, it does. And people that were following it, they were in their 50s, 60s, or 40s. Like every age group followed these arrows. It was phenomenal. I actually, when I do a book launch in a bookstore, what I actually want to do is I want to take I might just take like either unicorn arrows or maybe just like video game style arrows, and I would just put them on the floor, and I guarantee you, I don't care how old they think they are, they will all come to me, all of them. So
You see an arrow.
Absolutely. Well, Miss Jess, I would love to continue this chat and like a longer chat with you at some point down the road. But for the purposes of this episode, we're going to have to wrap it up here. Why don't you promote your next book coming out in September? Okay, and then how can people find you?
Okay, so The Guitar of Mayhem is the sequel to The Book of Chaos. It's coming out September 10th, and it's at most of the chapters. Chapter Chinook it'll be at, and in Edmonton at South Common, and in Red Deer. It's also on Amazon. My website and my Facebook and my Instagram are all the same, Jessica Renwick Author. So you can find me there, and there's links to Amazon and the online Barnes & Noble and chapters.
And thank you very much. And Jessica, good luck to you with everything. It sounds like you got, like your series just sounds amazing.
Thank you.
Yes. So everybody else, give it a for Jessica. So now we get to me. So most people know me as a podcaster. Not too many people have actually read my writing. Partly it's what I've chosen to write. I do epic poetry. I did epic poetry, which again, you read that's like, what the hell is that, right? But it's also like kind of like that. Those poetry books are actually the whole secret to my career, and I'll tell you why. Because for me, I had this idea when I came back to Calgary after I had gone through my winter in Arizona, and it was like, okay, I'm going to do a poetry collection again, but I want to do a longer poem. So I had this idea, and then I had this kid in a watchtower, and he's got these dragons on the bottom, and his family's working for these dragons and their slaves. And he'd look out into this distant horizon and wonder what was out there. And I wrote it, and it's called The Watcher. And I read it, and I really liked it. And I want to go where we're going next. So I wrote chapter 2, which is called Escape. He kills one of the dragon masters, so I had to know what happened after that. And then chapter 3, it was like, this is his first night alone. And I thought, and it really resonated with me because I remember, we all remember this, the first time we actually live on our own is kind of scary because you'd like, well, no one's going to come bail me out. This is kind of like, what the heck's going to happen? On top of that, you just kill somebody. So it was a very, very, very engaging thing. Then I saw chapter 4, chapter 5, and I realized about chapter 6, like, screw whatever else I was doing. This is my story. I don't really care. I had this plan. I'm going to publish it on Smashwords. It's going to be great. I've been doing interviews for about 20 years. Way before I did the podcast, I've been doing interviews. And one person I interviewed, when I got everything put together, and I guess should be a props to Florence Chan because she drew some amazing stuff in there. And Florence, I always think you're awesome. I really want to work with you again someday, and I know we will. But you always acknowledge the people that help you, always. I put it on Smashwords, and when this person I interviewed buys it, goes, hey, this is really cool. What are you going to do with it? I go, exactly what I just told you. And they go to me, well, I just got to deal with Ingram. I'm starting a publishing company. I'll publish your book. That's how I got published. That was the first time I got traditionally published. And all 3 books have been traditionally published, which is, if you look at it from a poetry point of view, that's unheard of, right? That is unheard of. But the lessons I've learned, even this podcast is an accident. The lessons I've learned in life is this: you do things. It doesn't always work out the way you plan it. Never does, actually, ever. But what does happen is, no matter what you do, you create opportunities for yourself. No matter what you do. The real question is, are you smart enough to see them when they're right in front of you? And will you take advantage of them? And that has literally been my career, no matter what I have done. whether it's been the podcast, which was also an accident. Robert J. Sawyer said something outside the store, literally outside. We did this interview in this room. Robert J. Sawyer went outside the store. I don't even remember who he talked to. He mentioned podcast. I didn't even think of a podcast at the time. It's just, I have a phone I can actually transcribe my interviews on. Yes, like finally it's the 21st century. That was as big as I was thinking. And I've done now 300 of these things. So the lesson to learn for me is take advantage of your accident, always, because there are really cool ones that come your way. Which leads to the next thing I want to do. As much as I am proud to be a good podcaster, I do feel people don't actually recognize me as a writer. And that is to some degree my fault. I don't, again, and to be perfectly clear, I am proud to be a podcaster. I am totally proud of it, but I am more. And I believe I'm more. So today, I'm going to give you a preview of something to come. But you all get to choose what I'm going to read. It's from the same book. There are 4 seeds. You can choose from one of the 4. So I'm going to title them. I'm not going to tell you what they're actually about, but I'm going to title them for you. Number 1, Adam and Chester. Number 2, Count to 5, Part 2. Number 3, It Smells Like Pine. Number 4, You Got the Girl, but. 4. Okay.
All right. Is there a comma between girl and butt?
No. Yes, there is.
Yeah.
Okay, so give me a second here. So I'll give you what they were. Count to 5 was an elevator scene. A very, very creative elevator scene. Adam and Chester, he was Adam and his zombie mobster, Chester. Right? Number 3 was the unicorn that farts rainbow scene. Number 4 is an interesting one. I'm going to go just after, but there's a big resolution. So the plot of the story is this. My main character is a complete coward. He is except he follows this girl with a gunblade into the cloud. The cloud today is going to be our archaeology tomorrow. He gets a file that everybody from zombie mobsters that unicorns that fart rainbows wants. And his only salvation is that girl with the gunblade who may or may not like him very much, and as the cloud diver. Now, the file has something to do with this virus that's going around in his hometown. He's going back home. So, he left the girl behind to chase his career. So now, but he's going into a quarantine area to visit the girlfriend. So we're going to introduce what happens to him after he visits the girl. So give me a second here. So I gotta go find this now. Again, I was secretly hoping for Adam and Chester because it's hilarious, right? But let's see here. A little far. Give me just a second, guys. I don't mind if this is dead air. Because I'd tell you. Ba-ba-boom. Famous words.
Be a Josh podcast without that.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Yeah. You can scroll. We'll just talk among ourselves.
No, it's all good. I'm almost there.
Yeah.
Boom, boom. Almost there. There he goes. I felt better leaving the room. Great weights had been lifted off my chest. My mind was still confused. Answers were murky and unclear at the moment, but for now, I only buried what was in front of me. I hit the elevator button inside to check into the lobby. No doubt Gunblade and Atlas were wondering if I was still alive. Checking in seemed like a good place to start. Scott was waiting for me at the bottom. She doing okay? Yes. Yeah. I noticed 2 orderlies step into the side of me, each one of them cutting off escape. The elevator door closed with a loud thunk behind me. It felt a little crowded around me. What's going on, buddy? I was impressed with my calm in this situation. I only felt a mild flutter in the heart of this unexpected development. Well, I have good news and I have bad news. What do you want to hear? I do not like the sound of this. The good news? Due to the inoculations and treatments at Void Life, there's a very good chance you are not infected. The idea of being infected from being in contact with Lisa had never occurred to me. It made sense in hindsight, but my well-being hadn't been the top priority at the moment. Now that I've had my moment, the more logical part of my being was kicking in the load with the obvious fact. It's it's obvious that I entered the bad news, but there is still a chance I'm infected. You always were a smart one. The two orderlies wrestled me to the ground. I have to admit I was impressed. They were actually smaller than I was, more orangutan than man in their flexibility. I felt myself coiled and constricted. I'll go this to the side so that I actually can see this a little bit better. I felt myself coiled and constricted like a shish kebab on a plate. Scott, for his part, observed this process like a detached professional he was. Deliberate and motionless till the job was done, he finally gave me the nod of approval once it was taken care of. I'm sorry about this, he said, holding a syringe with some very neon blue liquid in his hand. We have to make sure you have no trace. This will be painless. Mostly. Mostly? That never sounds good with the promise of painlessness. My old friend was lying to me. Before I could protest, I felt a prick from the syringe and winced. It didn't just hurt. It stung worse than a bee sting, I swore. Then I didn't worry about it so much. Sure, they were loading me to a gurney, and yes, they weren't the gentlest while doing so, but it was cool, man. For some strange reason, I was fine with everything. Nothing fazed me. Gunblade could count to 5, the building could explode, or I could face Chester again, and I'd be cool. It occurred to me as they put me into the box that perhaps the drug I was injected with had something to do with my Zen-like state. Then I just didn't care. I relaxed and enjoyed the show. What do you think, ladies and gentlemen? I had a ton of fun with this story. It was me deciding to see how much can I make a novel look like a video game. Right? How much crazy could I throw into this and have fun and still tell a well-meaning story? And actually, it's ironically a good story because it's ultimately about getting out of someone's comfort zone, which, ironically enough, is what I'm doing. So, this is hello. I am going to be going after my bigger dreams. One of them, the podcast, we'll talk about first and foremost. I had this crazy idea at Creative Inc. that I would be the platform in which I could give away every book that comes out in Canada. I want to do that because I have the platform to do it. And also, I'm going to make a very interesting commentary about Canadians in general. You don't know what you're worth. None of you. You are some of the most talented people I have ever seen. I have interviewed people in 7 countries. I can actually say this without but mostly unbiased. There's a little bias I'm going to admit. But honestly, some of the most talented, gifted people I have ever met. And you don't know it. And that's your problem. Because honestly, right, you're worth so much more than what people give you, and I'm talking to each and every one of you in this room, even the 2 Americans here. Right?
I agree for what it's worth.
Yeah,
you undervalue yourself as a people and a country.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, no, it's the thing that really is bizarre to me is it's accepted. I don't get it. This guy right here, Colin Lavery, is one of the most talented graphic designers I've ever seen. He's very smart, very shrewd. He's very creative in his whole look and presentation. I can't completely comment on your writing because again, I've got a lot of books to read. But you're an amazing designer. Jim, you are one of the most gifted storytellers I've ever met. Thank you. Yeah, right. And I think for you, and I'm being very, very serious here, just stay a course, because honestly, I feel you have a lot to offer. You're an amazing teacher, and you're an amazing human being. Never unsell yourself short. I've already said lots of nice things about you, Calvin, today, but but honestly, you have an incredible amount to contribute, and I don't think you see it, and it just boggles my mind. Jenna, same thing. I've watched. You have so many good ideas. You're so driven. I'm going to tell you like a little secret. Most of the people I have worked with have been women. You know the thing that really impresses me with all of you? You get shit done. I mean, no. And this sounds like such a simple. This sounds like such a simple thing, but let me tell you something. The biggest thing I've learned with people that get in their own way. Usually, the easiest way they do is they don't show up. They don't see their worth. Sometimes with you, I've seen it. You back off when you should go forward because you definitely can do it. You really, really can. I know I'm being really, really freaking preachy here. And I'm sorry. But I learned like this last 2 years. I had like when I fixed the teeth, I reevaluated my own worth, and I recognized that I was selling myself short. I'm worth more than this. I am better than this. I can do more. I can be more. And I feel that way with each and every one of you in this room. You all can be more. And I like my sincere wish is that each and every person in this room gets exactly like their dreams, because you all deserve it. But you're gonna have to fight for that. Nobody here. The biggest thing I've learned in this life is people are going to tell you you're not worth anything when you get started. The truth of the matter is, as far as the truth, it's about settling. It's not about settling. When you look at someone like Jonas Saul and Rob Sawyer, they got there because they recognized their own worth and they fought tooth and nail for it. They didn't back down. They didn't. They just said, "Fuck it, let's go." Right? That's it. Like it is uncomfortable. I've paid prices. Like my teeth being what they are, that's a price I paid, and I do it again. Heartbeat. I'm worth more. I will be more. I will become more. So that's podcast. Writing wise, I got goals there too. I want to actually get a book out here. That's the last thing I want to do here before I go. Is I want to launch a book here, and then I want to go. But when I go, I'm not just doing this. I'm looking at like where can I take it? I'm going for the audiobook for the Cloud Diver. I know it's going to be out in April next year. I also am thinking, you know what? What the hell? Let's see what we can do movie wise. Right? Time's up?
Yeah, you got less than 5 minutes.
Okay, that's cool. We got time.
5 minutes.
So anyway, I've done 300 episodes. I have had awards. I've had sponsors. Have been featured in a magazine. It has been an incredible ride. But I feel I can do more. And I hope sincerely each and every one of you feels the same about yourselves, because you really can. Thank you guys very, very much. Enjoy the cake.
Congrats on episode 300.
Thank you, man.
Yep.